I'm good.
I started already.
Okay.
Happy summer.
Hello. Happy summer.
Let's just go straight into the intro. I think we have a good plan for today, so let's just kick it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, welcome back, everyone, to another CTEA Esports Academy podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about summer gaming, and all things related.
Yeah, I think I have to take off my sunglasses. I
can't wear a hat indoors.
Yeah, all very fair, valid points. I can't read, and your head needs to be seen.
He's like Velma, right? From Scooby-Doo.
My glasses, yeah.
My
Velma.
glasses.
Yeah, I always aspired to be Velma.
I can't read my notebook without my glasses.
I literally can't read. Well, no, my handwriting is terrible. Wait, where did I put it? But yeah, no, today we're going to talk about some summer gaming stuff. And yeah, no, should be good. I think summer is here. A lot of the kids that we have, like the clients that we work with, are out for the summer. I think it would be good to start talking about summer gaming, what it's like to be, a gamer in summer hits, especially when you're a kid, because infinite free time. It's like, especially when you're an adult, you start to look back and recognize that like you don't actually get that much time off really ever again. When you're a kid, summer can be a great opportunity for you to like improve gaming skills, get better at the things you want to do, or like reassess, what it is you want to try and achieve in life in general. But specifically for gaming, summer has always been a great time for me. So I think I wanted to talk about that, go down some memory lanes, I guess, if you have similar experiences, and kind of talk about what it means to do gaming over the summer. Yeah.
So for me, I think one of the most important things to start off with is when you're in the summer, especially as a younger kid, maybe when you get to like upper ages of high school, you start to have like summer jobs or whatever, which would affect that. But
or like internships. I had to do community service. That was like the best time to do it because my high school required like a certain amount of hours, and it was like pretty egregious. So like just doing it over the summer, just big bang boom.
Yeah. So there obviously there might be some other commitments that you have to do. Obviously, like again, work, internship. Maybe your parents need you to do like chores, like certain amount of chores every day or whatever. But beyond that, the summer is really yours to decide what to do with.
Yeah, you got a lot of time.
And I think something that's really important is, right, as always, where do your ambitions lie? Because if you want to be a super competitive gamer, the summer is one of the best times to see that growth. And it applies to gaming, but it applies to anything that you want to get better at. Yeah. Summer is the best time to see that growth. If you want to get better at basketball, you have nothing else going on. Summer is when you can go to the local outdoor court, get some shots up, maybe play pickup, maybe do a basketball camp. Same with esports. Summer is a great time to get your reps in, get your practice, get coaching, join
an esports camp,
join a summer esports camp, and really start to see that growth. Because a lot of people make the mistake. Again, I'll use basketball as an example because that's where my background came from. You don't really improve at basketball during the basketball season.
Yeah, very
The
true.
basketball season is meant for fine-tuning, correcting, and like building synergy and coordination with your teammates. And actually, this exact same thing applies to like Overwatch. Like when we worked with our college team, you don't want to be improving at the game. Like you don't want improving your individual skill at the game to be your primary focus during season.
Yeah, you're on a team, you have bigger requirements that are outside of yourself and involve the system that you're playing within.
Exactly.
That's that time to actually get into that groove, get into that routine, and get used to those like weekly matches or, for like traditional sports, sometimes multiple times per week matches that kind of prevent you from focusing on yourself individually. And I think that goes, like you said, for everything. When you are in the moment, when you are performing, even if the games are happening once a week, that is still the moment. That is still the time to be performing, and that's not the time to be doing self-improvement.
Yeah.
Summer is like the infinite off period. I don't know if there's a lot of sports that have like a regular season in summer. At least when I was a kid, there was pretty much nothing.
There
Besides,
really,
well, beach volleyball. But
yeah, there really isn't much, and I think that's largely due to the fact that just so many sports revolve around school.
Yeah.
Especially where I come from in Vermont, like club sports isn't really a thing. There's a little bit of like AAU basketball, maybe a bit of like youth football, but that's very, very rare.
Can I do a full side tangent? This is going to be like 2 sentences back and forth between
Go
two
for
of us. Why don't we do like a state Olympics? Like the best basketball players from each state has to form a team and then play against each other. Wouldn't that be sick?
I think California, New York, and
Texas,
maybe
probably.
Texas would kind of win every time.
Yeah, but I want to know for sure who's the best out of the big 3.
Yeah.
Completely side tangent. It just popped into my head. I thought
The
that was
tri-state area,
cool. Tri-state area would kind of body.
all 3 corners.
But like, wouldn't Connecticut be really good at lacrosse? Like, we're talking about every sport. It's not just basketball. We do like an Olympics.
Maybe.
Sorry, this is complete side tangent. Back to it though. You're absolutely right. I think that like a lot of schools and like clubs and stuff like that, they still, even club sports, like in my experience with volleyball, still revolved around like fall and spring and school semesters.
Mm-hmm.
Like the biggest thing that we did is we did summer training, right?
Yeah.
But that is strictly training, and like you said, focusing on the individual stuff.
Exactly.
So bringing this back to gaming, I think that in my experience, a lot of the improvements that I've had have definitely been over like summer months, and also that's when I typically get games, because like my parents want me to focus on school during school time, and when summer comes around, it's like, well, I have a lot of free time. Wouldn't it be a good idea for like, stay off the streets, stay inside in nice weather too? Because especially right now, Northeast region is kind of going through a heat wave. The heat is getting much worse, like over the years. It's been pretty bad. So like staying hydrated, staying inside in air-conditioned weather, all really, really good ideas. And esports facilities like this all around the country are offering summer camp options and like after camp stuff for people who do go to day camp but then want to do something afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I think some esports is a great time to play during the summer. I think I'll ask you this question. Do you think summer is the best month to do esports or to do gaming in general, especially as things get hotter outside? That's kind of where I've been coming from when I view the summer. Like,
I would say no, personally. So I think maybe it changes based on who you are or where you live. But like for me, growing up in Vermont, winter was a fantastic time for gaming and esports because we got snow everywhere. It's really hard to get from point A to point B, and unless you want to go outside to like play in the snow or like go snowboarding or whatever, you can't really do anything outside. So me and my like core friend group from high school, we would spend like all of our winters, because it'd be dark by like 5 p.m. indoors gaming and hanging out electronically.
because you really can't go outside.
Exactly. And then summer, when it's bright, sunny, warm enough, we would be out on the basketball courts, maybe playing pickup, maybe swimming, just doing stuff outdoors, because it can get cold in Vermont.
Yeah, I think very similarly. Well, like I think that, it's obviously a geographical thing to an extent. I think kind of the inverse, especially during like that core summertime where it's just really, really egregiously hot. The blacktop gets almost too hot to play. Like I've seen basketballs melt outside. They get so hot that they'll literally pop and then just kind of simmer.
Yeah.
And like obviously you can go out and play like water fight or like like with the water guns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like that's always fun. And like especially as a kid, I would definitely balance between the two. But on those days where it's just egregious outside, it's just too much.
Triple digits, high 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to just come back inside and just play some video games with your friends, especially if you like come together. So I think that was another thing I wanted to talk about is like the summer for me was always like LAN gaming. Like that was a big thing when I was a kid, was like, especially when it was too hot outside, it'd be like, hey, insert friend is hosting, why don't you bring over your Xbox and extra controllers and we'll just like play video games together. Or like I'm hosting today, like everyone bring over your like GameCubes and stuff, we'll link them up and we'll play like some Double Dash. It was like a huge thing back then. Mostly because I think we just got like a bunch of copies of Double Dash for like really cheap from a GameStop sale. But that was really big for me, is that summer for me was always like LAN gaming and then like if it's too hot, you can just come back and play video games, you know? And that was always really fun for me. So I think that is a great example of like, at least where I'm coming from when I think of that summer is like, for me at least, like really the season of gaming. Also in the past, I don't know if you ever got hit by this, because you played, what consoles did you have when you were like, let's say around 2012, 2013? What consoles did you have?
That would have been the Wii U at the time.
Wii U. Okay, so a little tough, I think. But Xbox and Microsoft back then, I think either the summer of 2012 or summer of 2013, had Summer of Games. It was like this huge summer-long sale. A lot of games came out that year. And there were also huge sales on a bunch of games that were like very popular for a while, from like Grand Theft Auto to Call of Duty. It was also when Minecraft came to console. So that was like a huge summer for me to like game, get like a bigger friend group, start playing with kids from all around the country. Like Minecraft, Black Ops, Grand Theft Auto. I think I was playing Saints Row back then as well, which I was way too young to play any of those last two games. But still, like it was a lot of fun. I got to play with a lot of people. And it was also I remember it being a very hot summer as well. I think the park across the street from me literally shut down for like 3 or 4 weeks straight because it was so hot that like some of the water valves in the sprinklers like burst, and it was just not feasible to be there without any water, because the pool is also being reconstructed there as well. So like it was pretty much a nightmare scenario. My parents were just like, listen, I don't think you should go outside. It's going to be dangerous. So I was like, great, I'll stay inside. I'll do like my summer reading, and I'll do my video games as well.
Yeah.
But that's a core memory for me, gaming-wise, is like utilizing that off time in summer to play video games and have fun.
So for me, something that's really important, I think this kind of comes from my parents, is that balance is really important. And this is something that I kind of ignored, especially in, I think it was 3rd grade. I think I was in 3rd grade when I first got, it was Call of Duty Modern Warfare, so COD 4.
Yeah.
We had just gotten that on our Wii, and I was completely obsessed with it. And I don't even know how many hours every day I played of it, but one of my big regrets, like in the following years, was just like that summer specifically, how much time I spent playing the game. And I think making sure you maintain a balance is really, really important, because it's really easy just to close your eyes and realize you spent 8 hours, 7 days in a row playing games. And I think, again, it depends on what your goal is. If you want to be a god gamer, or if it's just like actually too hot to go outside, or like it's the only way you can socialize with your friends, I think those are valid reasons, and you like go for it. Spend 6 hours. For me, I was just completely obsessed with the game, and it was like it was like approaching an unhealthy level of time spent on the game, where I wasn't socializing with people because I was playing it on the Wii. I didn't have friends that played it on the Wii. It was plenty warm enough to do whatever I wanted outside. And I forgot what the third box was, but I was like 8 years old and had no aspirations of going pro as a Wii competitive Call of Duty player.
Yeah, but don't you see like having fun as another example of like a valid reason to play video games for a long amount of time?
Yeah, and I think it's having fun is obviously a very important aspect, but I think after like the, I'll say 4-hour mark of playing in one sitting 5 days in a row, I think when you're approaching like 30, 40 hours of playing a video game in a single week, at least myself when I was 8, I wasn't really thinking about how much fun I was having. I was kind of just like a zombie, kind of just sitting there playing the game.
Yeah, I think that's actually, let's talk about like summer fatigue when it comes to gaming, because you can and summer fatigue kind of comes across in two different ways. Is one, being fatigued by doing too much during the summer, and then the other one is just being so used to the rhythm of the summer, you just keep on doing it. And I think with the second one is a little bit closer to what you were talking about.
Yeah.
And I think I've faced that before as well. I think maybe not 8, but maybe like 9 or 10 years old for me was around the time that we had gotten the Xbox, and I had just gotten a new copy of like Halo 3. One of the best campaigns for the Halo series. And my goal over the summer was to beat the entire thing on Lasso, legendary All Skulls on. Very difficult challenge to do. I did end up completing it. No, I think I actually only completed half of it, because at some point I stopped. But similarly, I was playing easily. I was easily playing 40 hours a week, and I think above that I was probably doing a little bit more than that. But at the same time, I was also still doing baseball camp, soccer camp, and I was also going bowling a lot that summer because we had gotten like a bowling fast pass at a local
Bowling alley.
Bowling alley.
Yeah.
There you go. I was gonna say Bowlerama because I think that was the name of the bowling place.
It would pass. People would know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I was at the local Bowlerama, pretty much every single day, and that was because I would literally even to this day, I'm pretty sure I only need 6 hours of sleep, so I really didn't sleep very much that summer. But I had fun doing all of this. And I think that, however, towards the end of the summer when a lot of my friends were going on vacation, my parents didn't plan to go on vacation that summer, or we were going later. So the weeks where my friends weren't going to camp or going bowling, I didn't really go outside very much. And I played at those weeks nearly 80 hours because I would wake up, play video games, I would break for lunch and dinner, and then I would still play video games afterwards and between completely. And I think very similarly to you, it was a situation which I think I was gaming a little bit too much, but also because of some of the extraneous factors. I wasn't doing it online. I wasn't playing multiplayer. I wasn't playing with my friends because they literally weren't there. I was hyper-focused on something but I wasn't really getting anything out of it because by that point I had already given up on Lasso. I had given up on Lasso halfway through the summer because one specific mission was just too impossible to beat, and if I wasn't going to beat it, then I wasn't going to skip it and do other missions because I was very pig-headed at the time. Honestly, I'm still pig-headed. But what I was doing then was literally just trying to have as much fun as possible. So overloading the game by just loading multiple instances at once, or well, not specifically, but you could cram a certain amount of entities on a specific mission into a certain area and kind of cause the game to crash a little bit, or at least get very laggy. And I would do that. There's one mission which you could go get a bunch of vehicles, and I literally just instead of doing the mission, I would just bring vehicles back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it was boring. Straight up, it was just boring. Looking back at it, I could definitely see that it was boring, but at the time, I literally had nothing else to do, and I was enjoying this.
Yeah.
But I think if I had done that with friends, or if I was playing multiplayer, or if I was playing competitively, or if I was wanting to achieve something, that would have been good. But at that time, I was facing this fatigue, this summer fatigue of just there's nothing else to do, I'll do this, without aspirations of what that time could be utilized for, you know? And I think that's how a lot of kids see summer. Because even outside of gaming, I saw that in a lot of other things that I did, right? Homework is kind of a good example. There's summer homework, right? A lot of kids, you get packets, you get summer reading lists. They're pretty irritating. For me, the slog of going through it and not seeing what it was for was two very different things, right? There was the slog of just this is the list of books I could read. I will just choose the top 10 and just read them as fast as I can, which is just skimming and writing a summary so that they count.
The Spark Notes, pick the ones with the least amount of pages. That's what I did.
That would have been a lot more effective. But honestly, this might be before Spark Notes was a thing for me.
Yeah.
But what I could have done was similarly curate the list. Be oh, this book looks interesting. I actually want to read that. So I can get something out of it instead of just doing it for the sake of doing it. And I think that a lot of things in summer kind of feel like doing it for the sake of doing it, as opposed to, you're a kid, you have all this free time, let's make something out of this, you know? And I think esports specifically kind of blurs that line. Coming to a summer camp for esports is kind of really awesome. Not only are you doing it because it's something to do, but it's also something where you're going to learn. You have coaches like me and you who are going to be here and help you actually get better, analyze your progress and stuff like that, so that you can just kind of play and we can push you towards those other things. And I think camps in general kind of blur that line of just doing something to do it and then actually getting something out of that. Because the same way that I think both of us describe approaching Halo 3 and then Black Ops or Call of Duty 4 as kids can also be said about just like your parents shoving you out of the house and being like, go to the basketball court. It's like, yeah, I'll be at the basketball court, but I'm not gonna really be doing anything, you know? And that, compared to like going to a basketball camp or going to a basketball court with friends, is very different than just going and playing basketball or going and playing video games all summer.
Yeah.
That's very different than having like a goal or trying to actually accomplish something.
Yeah.
I guess to kind of like continue this on, would you say that gaming, well, no. Would you say that if you were a kid and there were video game camps around you, would you have gone for those? Like, let's say esports camps or similar to the one that you ran up in Vermont before you came to work here?
Yeah. I think it would depend on what age. Although that, to be fair, when I say it depends on what age, that's partially due to just esports wasn't really as big of a thing when I was younger, right? It really wasn't until maybe like I was 13 or 14 when I really first started to like have any awareness of esports, and I think it was like Black Ops 2 probably was the first time I really followed it at all with like Optic Scump and like Optic Phase, all those COD orgs. Before that, I probably would have said no. Well, maybe. If it was just like a gaming camp, I might have said yes. But I think I would have found more enjoyment at like the basketball and soccer summer camps I went to at that age. When I got older, I think I would have said yeah. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think that like even from a pretty young age, I really enjoyed gaming, but I also always approached it from an analytical point of view. Like the second that I found out about gaming around like 7 or 6 years old, all I wanted to do was be pretty good at it in anything that I was doing. So if there was like a speedrunning camp, I would have gone to that because that's how I got into gaming initially. Like the what I'm talking about gaming, right? Like I got a DS and I got video games and I had a GameCube, but then the step beyond that was like when I actually started playing it, I realized like, oh, I can beat this Mario game in like 30 minutes. And then I was like, oh, I can beat it in 20 minutes. I can beat it in 10 minutes. Like, oh my God, I can use these skips. And like once I got into that, I was just obsessed. I would go on the internet as much as I possibly could, and I would find other people speedrunning the game, and I would find other games that I could speedrun. I got into Portal, and Portal and Mario were pretty much the only two ones that I would do. But then I would emulate a bunch of different Mario games that I could speedrun those as well. So I think even from an early age, I would have been really interested in it because I'd also just want to be around other people that had the similar interest of mine. Yeah. I think that was a big thing for me is that like when I was growing up and with video games right now as stratified as they are, as in like they're broken up into a bunch of different sub-communities and groups, I was one that I liked every type of video game. But when I was growing up, there were definitely kids who were just like, we only play shooters. We only play FPS games. And that was the thing. I say shooters because they don't play FPS games. They play shooters. They play things like Call of Duty and Rainbow Six and like, you know, things that are like overtly violent and for the purpose of like being better than your friend without like any real understanding of what's going on. I liked it because it was like an FPS. It's like a first-person game where you get to be in the mind of another person playing as them. And then the step beyond that, noting how different all FPSs are. Because a lot of games have first-person point of view, but all of them feel different. And like those are the type of questions that I would always ask because like I like to have like a wide understanding of gaming. I think going to a gaming camp would have been a great opportunity to meet other people with similar interests or niches or like get obsessed with an RTS for a summer or get obsessed with MMO for a summer, stuff like that. So
yeah,
I think like depending on what it is you're going to the camp for and obviously what the camp actually is, kind of changes your likelihood to do that. But the reason why I ask is because do you think that like specifically LAN gaming, do you think that that's going to be like coming up a little bit more over the next couple summers, especially as things are getting hotter? It seems like a pretty good way to kind of beat the heat, play video games with your friends, and find other people with similar interests, especially as video games, like I've already said, have gotten very wide with a lot of different types of interests in it.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely like true. Yeah, and I think something too that kind of affects the answer I gave earlier is where my interest in gaming was, as well as how gaming has changed over the last like 10 to 20 years.
Yeah.
Because when I was in like elementary school, first gaming, I played, as I said, a little bit of Call of Duty, and then like outside of Call of Duty though, I played like a Shaun White snowboarding, like Tony Hawk, and then like those were the other games I would play on the Wii. Yeah. And then outside of that, I was on like Armor games, Addicting games.
Crazy Dead Will?
Not that one. I don't know that.
It's exactly the same as like a mini clip.
Yeah.
Mini clip.
Or like was it Ninja or Congregate? That was another.
Congregate was a good one.
And
they
like,
were one of the first to come up with like a paid model, which is why I like moved off it very quickly.
Yeah.
It was completely optional.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm not gonna pay money, and then I moved on.
I think the only reason I first started playing on Congregate was because I think there were components to Bloons Tower Defense that were locked on the website I was playing on, and I had to play on Congregate.
Yeah, because a lot of the Flash versions, like, unless you went to Bloons Tower Defenses or one that, like, affiliated and paid Ninja Kiwi to actually do it, you would actually not get the full game of, like, I think BTT4 at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, similarly. That's how I got to Congregate in the first place, but then I found ninjakiwi.com, and I was just like, ooh, cool.
Ooh, better, yeah. But as I was saying, like, with... again, like Addicting games, Armor games, Congregate, whatever, I don't see those as games that would really fit in a summer camp style.
Those are not generative games. Those are the old school version of mobile games. The things where it just sucks your time away and you're just like on your phone playing.
Exactly.
Instead of doing anything generative with that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then as like gaming's evolved in the last like 10 years really, multiplayer games have really blown up. I mean, League of Legends is a big example. And Call of Duty's even expanded with like Warzone, but like Fortnite, Apex, Rocket League, like all of these really like multiplayer online games have really kind of taken over.
Yeah.
And I think like as I entered high school, as I got to playing those types of games more, I think having a camp built around that would be, I think that would have been something I really had interest in.
Yeah, I would have absolutely jumped on that. I mean, also the opportunity to play on like really high-end machines, because that's the thing I think, I always thought that, especially when I started to go to college, I was like, oh, I think everybody within a couple of years is going to have like high-end machines like the one that I just built for myself. Because I kind of expected like prepaid or like pre-made computers to like blow up in the market. And I think they still are. There's a couple streamers that own like Starforge systems and then like a couple other similar companies. And I think they're doing pretty well because more of them keep on popping up. And they look awesome, like the really well done computers. But not everybody is buying, like it's not as prevalent as like consoles. Because consoles were like purposefully cheap, very bad computers. That is what they are. They are not designed to play at the highest possible way that you could play a video game. And that is always going to be a PC.
Yeah, I don't think very bad is the right term.
When you compare them to yes, when you compare them to computers.
They're worse, but to me very bad is like it doesn't function. Like it
Red Ring of Death literally does not function. Or the plan.
I thought we were talking about like PlayStation 5.
No, I'm talking about general consoles.
Yeah.
I'm talking about consoles as a generality. In my mind, I do understand what you're saying. I probably should soften my language there a bit, but I'm not going to, because I do think that consoles, like, they're cool, but they're toys. The consoles are not designed for like I'm gonna take this seriously.
Yeah.
Especially in their early iterations, like literally with like Nintendo and like early iterations of Xbox and stuff like that. Nobody had aspirations of like, oh, we're going to take these, group them up, and turn them into like LAN-capable, tournament-ready, esport playing machines, right? Old, like during the time of those consoles coming out, StarCraft and World of Warcraft and all those other games were being played on PCs already because they were the optimal way to play esports at that time.
Yeah.
Every other type of esports competition with those is kind of gimmicky. The only exception to this in my mind, historically, excluding like Xbox One and later, so like PlayStation 4, Xbox One, those were like, okay, we're trying to make a really good product here that can do both casual stuff and like play Blu-rays and do all this other stuff. I'm getting bogged down. But the GameCube was one of the early iterations of like, we're trying to make this as best as possible. And the big limiting factor to me in that is it has uncapped frame rate. I don't know if it's intentional, but I'm pretty sure it has fully uncapped frame rate and intentionally. Also because they were designed to be hooked up to each other Ethernet-wise and be played LAN very easily, very quickly. They had handles on them so you could bring them places. Like that was a console that was designed to do everything that you could possibly do with it. Mm-hmm. The Xbox was not designed to be brought places.
Yeah.
It was marketed as it's kind of light. You could bring it places, and I brought it places all the time. I had to buy 3 Xboxes in my childhood because 2 of them died to Red Ring of Death. And I think that, like, I'm getting a bit bogged down on that. But I do think that, like, what I mean to say with all of this is that specifically PC culture has definitely gotten bigger and much more available. But even for kids these days, they're getting consoles or they're getting, like, phones and tablets. They're not getting full-on PCs at younger ages, kind of like how I expected to happen. Yeah. So a space like this and having LAN or gaming camps is a great opportunity to see the newest, latest technology, and without paying out the nose, have access to high-end equipment and gear that if you want to chase this esports career, you'll have access to eventually, because that'll be something that you'll need either in your home or you'll be playing at LAN centers at the collegiate level, or, you know, with high schools now creating gaming centers and stuff like that. There is a future in which you will be using this. It's nice to hop in early and utilize another person's space, play with other friends, and on these really, really nice computers and rigs that, like, we have access to, but the average layman doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
I think a lot of the kids that we have met that have aspired to, you know, play esports at a higher level will watch people at home play on these amazing rigs, go, I want to do that, but then get a console, which is understandable. It's affordable. It's within price range that makes sense for sure. But then they can't achieve what they see their streamer doing. You know, they can't, you know, move a mouse. They can't like rebind and do all these things. And I think with certain games it's easier.
Yeah.
But with a lot of the games, if you watch, you know, Faker play and you're like, I want to be like Faker, and then you get a console, it's like, well, the game he's playing isn't even on console.
Yeah.
You know, and you might not know that, or your parents might not know that. So this place is like kind of a treasure trove of not only information to know those things, but then also just access those things as you see online and as you aspire to be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think in a broader way of kind of putting it is that console gaming is just, it's a little bit limited. Like, there are things you can do on a console that you can do, like, up to those higher levels. Like, if you want to be, say, like a Call of Duty pro player or a Fortnite or Apex pro player, you can do that on a console. But if you...
Yeah.
But, like, as you said, like League of Legends, or if you want to go into, like, coding and, like, or type an essay or... like edit YouTube videos or stream, you can't do any of that really on a console, not to the same level. And I mean, what a lot of console players that are big streamers do is they have a streaming PC.
And then they have a capture card go from the console to the thing.
So even though they're playing on their console, they still need to get an entirely separate computer to really run what they're trying to run.
And that can be a huge burden, like financially or like even physically. I mean, because like you have to build the entire PC, or you can get it pre-built, but then the price goes up, you know? So I definitely understand why parents don't do that. But it's also why we exist.
Exactly.
It's a great opportunity to kind of step in and say, like, we just reduce the cost as much as possible. We bought the computers because we like the computers.
Yeah.
And if you want to come and use them, this is what we have.
Exactly.
And I think that, like, yeah, I do think that, like, laptops also have not gotten to the place that I wanted them to get to. They're cool. They're really, really good, some of the new gaming laptops and stuff. But you just try and do too much on something that can't handle all of it. And it just, you know, breaks, doesn't go as well.
Yeah.
It's not as efficient or anything like that. And it's trying to wear too many hats. I think something you said was kind of funny was editing on a console.
Console, yeah.
Xbox had a system for that.
Yeah.
Xbox One had a system for editing on the console, and it was one of the worst things I've ever tried to do ever in my life.
PlayStation had one too.
And it has like both of them also have the ability to like upload said clips immediately to the internet. It's like that's all really cool, but you're trying to wear 50 hats, and I think that consoles should really just like stick to the things that they are really good at, which is like really cinematic, beautiful, 60 frames capped games.
I think I don't know about Xbox, but I know PlayStation 5 I think can go up to 120.
Cool. Still not 240 or uncapped.
Yeah.
It's also not single or millisecond delay. I don't know. I am a console hater. I've been a console hater for a while, which is really stupid. I've tried to move off it so much because I'm not PC master race either. It's just
I'm not PC master race. It's just better.
It is. It actually is just better.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got me to a T, man. Yeah.
All right, connecting this back
to summer gaming.
I don't know how we got here.
Well, I talked about the fact that like I think that over time, PC culture like didn't get to where I wanted it to be, but that's also another reason for why like summer gaming camps and stuff like that are like really good. Is that a lot of people are missing that gaming component in their home, and summer camps allow you to have them in a place where it's also like room's not going to overheat, because at home you have to think about like how do I pay the heating or electric bill for like this PC that is going to get very warm over the summer.
Yeah.
This place is beautifully air conditioned. We haven't run into a single problem yet.
That-
and like,
that's-
it has been like 90 plus most days here. Like
Yeah.
it is serene in this room.
There have been many times where I have thought about putting a sweatshirt on, and it's summer.
Yeah. Like and like at home, there have been many times I have stopped gaming because it just gets too hot in my room.
Yeah.
Like it is there's a lot to consider about it, and that's kind of why I went around the whole PC thing. But to connect it truly back to like summer gaming, actually, sorry, I have no segue. I ran out of segues.
Oh.
I have a list of segues, and I think we got through all of them.
Well, bye-bye. No.
There's one, but it's kind of not related to anything we have here. If you had to pick a season for esports, kind of like how... Well, like I was going to say like the NBA or MLB, but I realized that theirs kind of go very long. They more have like off seasons.
Yeah. They have wide for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, you know, traditionally like basketball gets played like towards the end of fall, winter in high school.
Yeah.
Volleyball for men is typically spring. Volleyball for women is typically the start of fall.
Soccer is fall, baseball spring.
Yeah, those are great examples. If you had to choose one for esports, what would it be?
I think I would go with winter.
Go with winter.
It's just a good. It's a good indoor sport that like all of the other sports we kind of listed besides basketball, which is also indoors, can really be played outdoors. I guess volleyball is different as well. Volleyball is indoor.
Yes,
assume,
I
right? Yeah.
thought of beach
Yeah.
volleyball. Yeah.
But I think I would put esports as a winter sport or winter sports plural.
Yeah, actually, I would agree. So the answer to the title of this thumbnail, or the title of the video, is summer, is gaming for summer, or is summer for gaming? No, I also think that winter would probably be best.
Yeah.
Because what you said earlier made a lot of sense. Like I definitely didn't understand it because like from my perspective, summer just gets ridiculous in New York. Like even especially over like the last couple of years that I lived there, it was like, dude, the blacktop was like brutal. And especially because like the things that I want to go out and do is literally just like run around all day. Like that's what I want to do during the summer. I can't do that when it is like the ground is 90 degrees, if not like close to 100. And it's like if I step out of my shoes for a second, my feet literally get scalded.
Yeah, you gotta.
I'm like panting around like a dog trying to get water. Like you know those bowls they put out for like cats and dogs outside of shops? I'm the one lapping that up because like there was one summer. Real quick, let's have fun summer stories, I guess. But one time, I rode my bike like way too far, and I didn't think about it at all. But when I got there, I was tired, and I like went to essentially like a beach in New York. So I rode the bike all the way there, and then I got there and I was tired. And I was like, after like 15, 20 minutes, I was like, okay, this is fun. Like, because nobody came with me. So I was like, okay, I probably should go back. And I was tired already. So I start going back. I had a heat stroke and passed out on my bike while riding in the middle of a street in New York City. And it was not the last time that would happen in my life, but it was definitely the most dangerous because I think at the time I literally didn't have a phone. I did not have a phone. I had no way of contacting anybody. I literally was passing on the side of the street. I kind of like came to, and somebody was giving me water and was be like, "Hey, are you okay, kid? Like, where was your parent? Do you have a phone number? Blah blah blah." And I was just like, "No, I'm fine. I appreciate the water though." I like downed the water and then just kept on going, and I just biked my way all the way home with one break in the middle. And by break, I mean literally falling off my bike. But it gets ludicrously hot. But even so, I still think that summer has like, I think summer is great for esports camps, for improvement, for like late at night when you don't have anything to do, or like, you know, sun's gone down, or like it is just too hot out today, there's a heat wave. Video games are fantastic over the summer.
Yeah.
But I think video games are fantastic over the summer. I think esports are great in the winter.
Yeah, I think like the competitive season of esports where you have your matches, whatever, I think that kind of belongs in the winter. But for improvement, like if my ideal summer, if I were a kid right now, would be like
beach every day.
Would probably be a camp during the day, whether it's a generic summer camp, like here at the Y we have Camp Gordyland, or if it were a specific basketball summer camp, or whatever is available to me. And then I'd get home at 4, 5, 6 o'clock, whatever, have dinner, and then game with my friends until like 8, 9, 10 o'clock. And then repeat.
Yeah.
I think that's peaceful and best of all worlds.
I think my ideal would be, some sort of camp in the morning to like mid-afternoon, and then coming to a CTEA after camp, vibing with some friends, playing video games, potentially even staying or like maybe grabbing dinner, but then staying and doing our competing in VHEL, popping off, playing well, because we have summer splits anyway, but they're more like times to get better and stuff like that. And then head home, and then maybe do some more video gaming at night. But just packing the day full of just sport I love, hanging out with my friends, going to a camp I love, and then afterwards just doing video games when it's just too hot and I'm too tired from all the running around all morning.
Yeah, something I didn't really think about, but this would. Is kind of worth mentioning, is I think even when you say, let's say you play 6 hours of games a day, that's a quarter of the day. I think sitting and playing 6 hours straight, I think that's really bad for your mental health, bad for your physical health, bad for everything. But you can still play 6 hours a day if you take breaks. And I think that's something that would be really important. Like, say you wake up in the morning, you play like 2 hours, and then you go do something, anything, whatever, and then you come back and say it's nighttime, and you play another like 3 or 4 hours, whatever. I think that's a lot better than gaming from like 10 to like 5. Because even if you're at a summer camp, you're not sitting in front of the computer for the full like 6 hours.
Yeah,
right?
even if you're at a traditional summer camp, you're not literally running out for 4 to 6 hours.
Exactly.
You are taking mandatory water breaks and lunch breaks and switching activities and walking to a new area.
And I that's something like, if you signed up for a 6 hour or 8 hour like esports summer camp, you're not gaming for that whole time. No good summer camp would have you do that, right? They'll have you just walk away from your computer, get lunch, get whatever. Something I actually did with the summer camp I ran, like 3 or 4 summers ago at this point, was during lunchtime, I would take the kids down to the gym, and we would, after we had our food, we would shoot hoops and just kind of run around the gym and stretch, essentially.
Yeah, just stretch your legs.
Yeah, but breaks are important.
Yeah. You know what? This is kind of turning into that, and I think I'd like to spend the last couple of minutes, because I don't know how much time we have left. But
we're approaching 45 right now, I think.
Okay, let's spend some time then with how do we What are some major tips for the summer? Like gaming this summer. I think that you've already hit on a big one is like take frequent breaks. And I think that's like for everything, but let's talk specifically like tips and tricks for gaming over the summer. I think one of the big ones in my mind is take frequent breaks, you know?
Yeah.
It's important to go outside, see friends, stuff like that. And playing video games with your friends kind of counts as well. So like don't fret about that. But if you're playing solo or just kind of like in your zone, in your rut, take frequent breaks, you know? Play a different game, get up, get water, go outside.
That's something that I would touch on is, I say this all the time, it depends on what your goal is. If you're just a casual player that like wants to just have fun playing games, I think summer is a great time to try new games.
Oh yeah.
And even if you're a competitive gamer, it's a great time to try new games, because let's say you do compete in esports in winters. If you find out, man, I'm actually in love with Overwatch, and you used to be a Fortnite player. Well, now you actually have 6 months of time to learn Overwatch before that season starts.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're just a casual and you've played Minecraft your whole life, and then you try like, I don't know, like God of War or something like that, and
Skyrim.
you're like, yeah, Skyrim.
Shadow of Mordor. These are all very similar
like-
to. Yeah, but yeah.
But or like I don't know, Sims, whatever, right? Any game. The summer is a perfect time to find new games that you like. And I think that's a really important thing to, test the waters during the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's another great tip is try out things, do variety. I think another one for me is get social with it. So I think like, Discord, or especially if you're like a solo or a casual gamer who doesn't play multiplayer games very often, there's a lot of fun party games that you can play, even like on the internet, or like if you can invite your friends over in person to kind of have like a LAN day, bring multiple Switches, or if you don't have multiple consoles, just games like, I think it's called Pico Park is a good one. You're little, like 8 different guys and you run around and you build stuff and complete challenges. There's like even co-op games, like going back and playing some of the oldies, which I say oldies, but they're only like 10, 14 years ago. Like Halo, great campaign, really fun to play with 4 people. Like, kind of similar to your whole variety thing, but specifically, let's play some social games. I think that's my third
bring
big
people
tip.
in, yeah.
Bring people in, play some social games. Jackbox, really fun social game. Not very much of a video game, but it's a fun gaming experience.
Yeah, I was actually thinking Jackbox as well.
Yeah. But like even like digital Uno, right? Like or digital Monopoly. Me and my friends played the heck out of that when we were young, especially over the summer because, like I said, too hot to go outside. I just want to play Uno with my friends. Let's boot up Uno on the Xbox because every Xbox comes with Uno, unless you have the oldest Xbox. Apparently, the first one doesn't have Uno, but
yeah.
But I think that would be my third tip. You got another one?
Not a solid one. I can't really come up with a last good one.
I think those 3 are pretty good.
Yeah.
Take frequent breaks, and I can split up the first one. Take frequent breaks and drink water. Even when you're inside and you're in the AC, there's this thing called wet bulb temperature. Yeah, I think I can split up the first one into like 2 different like sub points. But take frequent breaks, go outside, and drink water. Even when you're inside in an AC in like a very nice room, whatever, even if you're at a gaming camp, still important to do all those 3 things, especially over the summer, especially with how things are getting, like heat wave wise and a bunch of other things. So keep those in mind, really, really important. I think the other thing is try variety of games. Whether you are a specialist who's trying to be the greatest Fortnite player of all time, you can get better by playing other games. It's also just fun to try other games. I think it's a fantastic tip is try things out. You got 3 months, might as well try things out. And then the last one is while you're trying things out, try social games. I think strictly social games like Among Us are fantastic examples of games that you just play with your friends, whether you are in person or remote and you just can't get to each other because there's a distance factor or your friend lives across the country or it's just too hot to go outside and play together. Try some social games. Yeah. And I'll try and put some like recommendations for those in the description box below. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of really fun games that you could be playing with your friends. I think it's important to stay healthy as you possibly can because even when you're gaming, that's still get fatigued, whether that's mentally or physically. So get outside, get some sunshine on your face, drink some water, hit up a friend. You have so many summers and so many hours in said summers to enjoy playing video games, and also do a lot of other things. So I think that's kind of it.
Yeah, I think that's a good spot to end off.
Yeah, I think it's great about this end off.
You wanna?
Is there a call to action? Anything you want them to comment below?
What are your summer plans? You got any fun summer plans, or alternatively?
Summer gaming lists?
What?
I
Yeah.
should've
What?
said
what
that earlier.
I was. That's what I was gonna say. Is like, what game are you playing this summer?
In the description, I will be putting both my and Coach Adam's summer gaming list. Let us know if you've tried out any of them or if you plan to try out any of them. And yeah, I hope you enjoy your summer. We'll be back next week with another episode. And we'll be doing a lot more stuff over the summer as well, since we'll have more free time as well. Coming soon at this channel.
Yeah, it should be good.
Yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe, read the description.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. One, two, three.